What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Swift tutorial. We're going to be doing another video today on animations. So after my last animations video, got a really strong feedback from all of you that you wanted to see some follow-ups. So here I am. So today we're going to look at how we can do more complex animations like the one you just saw here with this table view, with all the cells coming in one by one. We'll take a look at how we can do rotation animations like this one, how we can do zoom animations like the one you see here. We can also string multiple animations together like this one, which has this square coming in with a slight rotation, zoom, and also from the bottom. And we can also call a random function to generate a random animation every single time, making our app look fresh to the user every time they use it. So we're going to use something called View Animator, which wraps on top of core animation under the hood to make your apps a little more vibrant with some awesome looking animations. So that said, make sure you smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. The more likes these videos get, the more people that can see it, the more I can make more videos for all of you. If you're new to the channel, welcome, subscribe, get Xcode ready. Let me stop rambling on and let's get into it. Quick pause before we get into the video. If you haven't seen it already, I am hard at work putting together iOSacademy.io, a community where all of us iOS engineers can come together, learn how to build some of the top apps like Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, in addition to interview prep to land some of these iOS roles at top tech companies. So if you're interested in the free and premium content to come, head on over to iOSacademy.io and enter your email address in the waitlist form, and you will be notified as content becomes available. That said, let's get into the video. By creating a new project, and we'll stick with a single view application template. Let's call this project My Cool Animations. Save it to our desktop, and let's jump right in. So we're going to use a framework that wraps the core animation library that Apple provides, and basically it just gives us a way to shorthand syntax a lot of these cool animations. So let's bring that framework in via CocoaPods. So open up Terminal and cd into your project, run pod init, and from there run open pod file. And if you're not familiar with CocoaPods, I've got a separate video on this altogether, so take a look at that. And what we want to bring in is called View Animator. Make sure you lowercase this p, otherwise you'll hit a installation error. Close text edit and run pod install. And the line you care about is the one right here where it says that it was installing. So now we can close Xcode with a Command W and open up the workspace with an open project name.xc workspace. So let me expand our Xcode window here. Let's also select the simulator and hit Command R to make sure things are still running and compiling post-installation, which they are. I believe I just saw our empty app here. And let's do some cool animations. So the first animation we're going to look at is my personal favorite, and that's how you can animate in table view cells or collection view cells. And I've seen this animation be used in apps like Pinterest and other social media apps, and it looks super, super nice. So let's start by creating a basic table view in here. So we'll say private let my table is a UI table view, and let's add this as a subview. Let's set a frame of this to be the entirety of the screen. Let's set a delegate and a data source. Let's make sure we conform to the delegate and data source. And I'm going to go through this table stuff pretty fast since it's not really the point of this video. So if you need some a bit of a refresher or an intro to table views, I've got tons of videos on table views themselves. So let's register a cell, and we want 4 functions. So number of rows, we're going to return data.count. Let's create data up here. which will be an array of strings. So let's say animation 1, and let me be lazy and copy and paste this. Let's just call it animation. Let's copy and paste it a few times, like so. And we need cell for row at index path. We're going to create a cell. We're going to use a table view DQ function. We want to DQ a cell with the cell string identifier for index path. Next up, we want to set the cell's text label to just be the text in the data array, and we have the same text for all the entries, so they'll look the same, which is fine. Let's return the cell, and let me also say cell background color is link, which is a blue, and if indexPath.row %2 equals 0, aka if the row position is even, we're going to use a different background color so this looks a little nicer. We'll say system red, like so, and we need two more functions. We need table view height for row, and I'm just going to say 100 so the cell is taller so it's more easy to visualize the animation. And lastly, did select cell. Whoops, that's not what we want. Table view did select, is it row? There it is. Table view did select row at index path, and we want to call it deselect at that position with an animation. So if you hit Command R to build and run, you should have a basic table view showing up like so. So let's actually animate this. So you can animate the entire table as a unit to come in one way or another, different animation styles. But what's cooler is to animate each cell one by one, so you get this ripple effect. So let's start talking about View Animator. So first, let's import View Animator at the very top of your class. And the View Animator, we're going to use it in View Did Appear because we want to animate stuff after the view has appeared. And View Animator will take care of hiding stuff by default, so no need to worry about that. So override the function and call the super function. And let's see what View Animator offers us. So the View Animator has two methods of calling animation functions. One is an instance method you can call on anything that's a subclass of UI view. So this table, for instance. You can simply call animate, and you can pass in an array of animations. And the other way you can do it is you can call a static function called animate off of UI view. And the reason this one is different is you can pass in an array of views and animations. And the reason you would want to pass in an array with this table example is each of these cells in our table view is a view. And the reason you can pass in an array of animations is because you can string together multiple animations to get pretty nifty events. Pretty nifty animations visually. So to get the cells that we want to animate, we're going to say table view, or rather my table, dot visible cells. So as the name implies, this will return an array of table view cells that are visible. And an animation will be an array. And let's just call this animation and define it above. And to get an animation, you use a static, let me get rid of my antivirus pop-up. But to define an animation, you call a static function off of animation type. And there are multiple things in here. So there's random, from, which is a directional animation, rotate, and zoom. So let's start with this one. So from direction, we're going to say top, and the offset, let's say 300. So let me hit Command R, and instead of explaining this, let's see what this looks like. So now you'll see the cells come in from the top with this pretty nice looking ripple effect. The other thing that I want to call out here is, let me comment this out. If we start typing in this function again, uiview.animate, either the instance or the static one, you'll see that there's also a bunch of different variants of this function. So this one has let's see. We want this one, actually. Let's use the instance function just to make my life easier explaining this. So let's say we do my table, animate. You'll notice that there's this instance of the initializer, and it has a whole load of properties and parameters. So there's reverse, delay, spring velocity, duration, etc., etc. All of these parameters have default values set under the hood, which is why we can get away with just passing in the view or views and animations. But point being, you can override any of these and achieve your own look and feel. So for example, if we wanted to add a duration, we can say it's 3, and let's add a delay of, let's say, I don't know, let's do 3 for this also. And we can hit Command R. And let's see, why is this yelling at me? Duration is 3, delay is 3, and this is basically saying argument delay must be preceded by argument duration. Okay, so the order of this matters. So let's take this and put this here. Now let's hit Command R. And something is still broken. Let's see, delay is 3, duration is 3. Let's fix that. And now you'll see we're in the delay right now, and the animation is far slower. I don't personally like it, but point being, you can customize it. So that's basically how you can animate different table view cells, and this applies to collection views, of course, as well. So let's look at some other animations, and we're gonna look at them by creating a new controller. So come up here, let's do a new file, Cocoa Touch class. We're gonna create a custom class, and it'll be a subclass of a UI view controller. Let's call this first view controller, keep this unchecked, and let's create it. Get rid of this commented code. Start by importing view animator, and let's create a view. So let's actually do it again in view did appear, call super view did appear animated, and let's say we have let my view is a UI view with a frame CG rect with an XY width and height 0 0 200 200. And now let's center this view. So my view dot center is view dot center. View, add subview, my view. Let's give it a background color of, let's say, system purple. And let's animate it. And actually, before we animate it, let's go back to the other controller and do a presentation of this controller with a cell tap. So when we tap on the first cell in this table view, so if index path dot row is 0, we're simply going to say VC is this new view controller we made, and VC dot modal presentation type actually is what we want, and we just want this to be full screen on presentation. Present the view controller animated true, and let's hit Command R to make sure this is working. We tap the first row. Once it decides to load, like so, we should get the other controller presented like so. Let me get rid of the delay in this animation of the table view cells, and let's also reduce this to be 1 so we don't have to waste our time. Head back to the new view controller. Let's set the view background color to be white. I think I saw it was black here. And let's look at the animation on this my view. So we looked at the from, so let's do my view, animate, and we are going to use this. And let's say the animation we look at now is animation type. Let's look at rotate. So rotate takes an angle, so pi over, let's say, some random number. And let me also put a delay in here of 2 seconds, duration of 2 seconds. Hit Command R to build and run. There's our table view. Let's tap this, and there is our rotation right there. So you can actually control the fade as well. Sometimes I like it to fade in faster myself, so you can visualize the animation more so. But this is what I guess the majority of people like, which is why they have set it as the defaults. So let's now take a look at another animation. So let me copy all of this. Let's create a new controller. And I'm just going to be lazy and copy and paste it right below. And let's call this second. Change the animation in here. So instead of using rotate now, let's try, what haven't we looked at? Let's try zoom, and we'll say the scale is, let's do, I don't know, 4. And go back to your first view controller. And now we can say, else if index path.row is 1, we can basically present this other controller, so copy and paste this. You can highlight and hit Control I to fix the indentation. It drives me nuts, so pro tip. Let's hit this second row, and now you'll see that there is a zoom animation like so. So I like this one as well. This one reminds me of the launch screen when you open up the Twitter app, except the Twitter app one is a little faster, and it's the Twitter logo instead of a blue square or a purple square. And the last one I want to show you guys, actually the last two things I want to show you guys, is you can use a random animation, which is also pretty nice to give your app a feel of just being fresh because it's different every time. Let's copy and paste this controller 2 more times and make this one third, and make this one random. And as you probably guessed it, for the random controller, let's change this to be.random. And for this controller, let's actually also change the color. So I'm tired of looking at green or purple. Let's make this green. Let's make this one orange. And in this third controller, what we're going to do is we're going to string together multiple animations. So let's say animations. And this is going to be an array of animations. Let's throw some animations in here. So animation type. We're going to say from. Let's say from will be the, let's say the bottom, and it will be 300. And let's also add in 2 other ones. The next one we'll do is, let's say rotate pi over 4. And lastly, we're going to say zoom with a scale factor of, let's say 3. And let's also set up, I believe there is a spring velocity in here. Let's say this is 4. And I think that's the correct order of parameters. That said, let's go back to the first view controller and change the presentation code. So similarly to these first two, we're going to say else if index path.row is 2, and else, and let's be lazy and copy and paste it. So let's take this, put this here, put this here, change this to be the third controller, whoops, like so, and this one to be the random view controller. Highlight it all, hit Command I or Control I, delete these additional line breaks, and hit Command R, cross your fingers that I didn't break anything, and copy and pasting, and let's see what we get. So this one I believe is random, or this one might be the one, this one has multiple animations, okay. So that's cool, and looks like we can't actually dismiss the controller. So let's get rid of this full screen. This will let us actually dismiss. I just like the full screen for the purposes of demos so the layout doesn't get messed up. But let's hit this again. We'll see that after a delay our animation comes in. Get rid of this. This one is random if I'm not mistaken. So we had it show up like that. Let's try that one again. And it looked the same to me. It's definitely random because we're using that here. But okay, it was subtly different there. So that's why I was saying sometimes I like to change up the duration and fade time so you can actually see it more. And yeah, that's a very quick overview of some pretty cool looking animations you can do with View Animator. And as I mentioned at the beginning, View Animator under the hood, actually, if we click into any of these, you'll actually be able to see what it's doing. And you can click into it and see that it's actually just using core animation under the hood. Writing out your animations yourself is definitely something that is useful. However, it's pretty verbose. So I've got another follow-up video coming that I made before this, detailing the specifics of how to do it yourself with vanilla kind of Swift, no framework. But the reason I wanted to start with this is because practically this saves you a ton of time, and stringing these animations together just adds a nice dimension to your app with very little code. So that said, if you haven't smashed the like button already, make sure you do so for the YouTube algorithm. If you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button. If you're new, if you've got questions, feedback, suggestions, comment them down below. I love hearing from you guys. Try to answer every comment that I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.